Today I want to talk about what happens when you finally choose yourself. There was a good period of time in my life where I was really looking to external circumstances to determine my worth, to validate me, or to somehow give me something that I didn't already have within. It's actually in those moments where I felt the lowest. I think that choosing yourself first and loving yourself is one of the best gifts that you can give. And so I want to talk about why choosing yourself is going to be extremely valuable to you and totally transform your life. I want to start with self-love. A lot of times we hear about self-love and all these like things that are kind of surface level, or we think about like, oh, just, putting on a face mask and things like that. And I think those are acts of self-care that contribute to self-love. But I think self-love is like a decision to love yourself fully, mind, body, and spirit. And it's something that I think you have to continuously feed yourself and work on. I know what helped me was to really work on my mindset. And so I was feeding myself messages from books and affirmations and trying to understand how the mind works. There are two sides that everybody has. You have a good side and a bad side, and it's up to us to feed and nourish the side that's ultimately going to, elevate us and support us. It's really easy to like hear those thoughts in your mind and think that those are who you are, like the negative thoughts, like, oh, I can't do this, I'm not worthy. But you have to understand your power in being able to heal and transform your train of thought. By continuously recognizing when you're thinking in a way that's not supporting you, you can then start to speak to yourself differently and believe the words you're saying. And over time, you do start to rewire your brain, and that's neuroplasticity. And before you know it, your train of thought is totally different, and you're thinking in a way that's going to support you in your journey. And I think mindset is a huge part of self love. Another part of self love is knowing your boundaries, being honest with yourself, staying true to your values and who you are, and also being able to understand what's no longer serving you, who's no longer serving you, and not lowering your vibration to someone else, right? I think, we are on this energetic plane, and as you start to grow in self-love, your vibration is going to raise. And when you have such a strong sense of self, you will start to attract different, right? Because the lower vibration things, people that tear you down, are no longer in alignment with you. And so you're going to start moving better, different. You're going to start choosing better. Self-love really influences your relationships, to your jobs, to the goals you set out to do, all aspects of cities, you know what I mean? Like taking leaps of faith, the risks, like betting on yourself, and believing in the power that is you. I could go on and on about the benefits of self-love, but when you really work on yourself and love yourself, you're going to want the best for yourself. And so you're no longer going to settle in relationships, whether that be friendships, family, even romantic relationships. You will not lower yourself or put up with somebody who doesn't love you because you're no longer seeking somebody to do something for you that you can't already do for yourself. Like, I think everybody has those tools within, and when you recognize that, you start to move differently. You're able to heal, you're able to overcome and accomplish the unthinkable. When you start choosing yourself, the way that you set goals and view goals is also going to change. Because when you don't choose yourself, a lot of times you just settle and you move from a place of lack versus abundance. When you start choosing yourself, you believe in your capabilities, you start setting goals, you start thinking bigger, and you know that you have all the tools within to achieve them. So that's a huge thing. I think a lot of times when we hear about successful people, we think that they have something that we don't. And the majority of successful people aren't born with silver spoons in their mouth. They're no different than you or me. They just have taken a risk, bet on themselves, and really chose to be able to do whatever it is that they set their mind to. I think another thing with the goals is that you move from a place of alignment instead of just settle. You might just settle for the salary or paycheck and think that's all you can do. But when you move from alignment, it's different. You do what feels in alignment with your skill set, your values, and even maybe things you want to create. Maybe you want to start a business. And you know that even if things might take years longer, you'll do it because you're committed to being in alignment and know that one day you will reap the reward for every block that you've been laying to get you to where it is you want to be. When people aren't in alignment, they settle for things, or sometimes they just like jump from idea to idea, just trying to like chase money, but then that never really works because then you just end up on a hamster wheel. Like, great things really take time to be developed. You plant a seed and you continue to water it and work on it, and eventually you reach a place that you only imagine. I think that's a beautiful thing. So your goals and who you become on your journey shift and change drastically when you choose yourself, because you start seeing opportunity where you once saw lack. Like, you're not scared by setbacks because you have a vision. And so that kind of brings us to the next thing, is that you gain a lot of focus and clarity. When you choose yourself, you know that you can do anything. It might not be overnight, but with each thing that you've overcome, with each lesson, each trial, each test, you grow and you gain something invaluable that's going to stay with you. No matter if it was something that was hard, no matter if it was a failure, like the lessons and who you become are priceless. And so you gain more clarity on your strengths, you gain more clarity on your weaknesses, what you can do, what you can't do, but also on like what you say yes to and what you say no to. And that can be in opportunities that you pursue. And it can also be in relationships. You might recognize you want to say no to certain people that maybe you would have said yes to before, but now you can see are no longer aligned. Also, with your goals and things like that, like you might say no to a night out because you want to work on your goals and that time is valuable and you'd rather spend your time doing that and you're not going to feel bad. You no longer move from a place of seeking validation. You move from a place that feels truthful to you and aligned with who you are and where you want to go and how you want to spend your time. And I think that's a great thing because I think a lot of times we spend time trying to please others. I don't think that you should sacrifice any part of yourself or your well-being just for any sort of validation. Another thing that happens when you start choosing yourself is you start prioritizing your well-being, from your rest to your emotional state to setting boundaries. You know that you need to rest, and so you won't feel guilty, as mentioned earlier, taking time out for yourself, or you'll go out and start working on your physical health, because everything's connected and everything I think is equally important. Mind, body, and spirit. You need to water all of those, right? Because your body and your mind, everything is a vehicle to get you to where it is you're supposed to go. And so it's equally important, in my opinion, to take care of all those aspects of your life, but also emotionally. I think you'll have a greater awareness of what it is you need to work on mentally, right? And even like that can come back to the mindset and even things you need to work on healing. Like taking accountability for yourself is so important. And I think when you start choosing yourself, you start to reflect on not only what no longer serves you outside of yourself, but also within yourself, like what no longer serves you, what do you need to unlearn. And there's definitely a lot of value in healing and being able to take accountability for everything in your life, even the things that you didn't choose, being able to move forward and find a way to heal from that. So you no longer have blockages that are holding you back is very important. And then when it comes to boundaries, I think just knowing who's in alignment with you, who's not. There's going to be people that don't continue to grow with you in this journey, and people who are with you for a season, and I think that's okay. But knowing if something is no longer supporting your highest self, or if someone is even, let's say you have a business idea giving you feedback and it's just about to stop you in your tracks, like have your boundary and know what you need to take in and what you're just kind of going to let go, because that's going to be crucial. It can be the difference between you setting out and really changing the world with your vision, or you just staying put and settling. Another thing that's important to remember is when you start choosing yourself, like if your inside, if your mind, body, and spirit, and the way that you love yourself and show up for yourself and believe in yourself is top notch, like nothing outside can really get into your internal system unless you allow it to. But it's much easier when your inside is out of balance, there's more chaos. It's easier for you to start absorbing all the things that people say you can do or can't do that hold you back, or have you stuck in unhealthy relationships or patterns or ways of thinking or whatever it may be. So there's so much value in prioritizing your well-being and understanding what feels right and aligned versus what no longer serves you. When you start choosing yourself, you gain more clarity on that, and that is going to be priceless. Another thing you're going to gain is a better understanding of if you're settling or if you're really in alignment and growing in the way that you want to when you start choosing yourself. Because when you start choosing yourself, as I said earlier, you'll be able to feel when something doesn't feel right. When a relationship is no longer serving you, when it's bringing you back to an unhealthy place or tearing you down, like you'll be able to tell this isn't it and I need to move from a different place. I'm no longer aligned with this. When you start moving in alignment, another thing that's interesting is like people start meeting you who are on your wavelength. We're on an energetic plane here. There's a lot happening behind the scenes. There's people moving, thoughts going around, and when you start believing in that and knowing like you don't have to settle, like I think a lot of times people settle because they have a scarcity mindset or are thinking of lack. Like you might not think you're ever going to experience a great relationship again, or you're never going to like get that job or whatever it is, so you're scared to move. But this world is full of billions of things going around. There's billions of us. There's a lot of energy, and when you start moving, like different things start to align with you. Like the world and connections is actually a lot smaller than you think. People that you once looked up to you might end up bumping into when you start wanting the best for yourself and moving. And so I think that's really important, to move in a way where you know that the world is abundant and that everything is working out for your greatest good, but you have to be in that mindset and have that spirit of wanting to change and be better, and to believe in yourself and to believe that things are out there that will work in your favor. I think it's also important to recognize what is draining you versus what is energizing you. And that can come from a career, that can come from the people around you, that can come from friendships, family, romantic relationships. That can even come from the city that you're in. You know, pay attention to how you feel in those environments that you're in. Do you feel supported, or do you feel like things are really difficult? Do you feel like you're being torn down? Like, pay attention to your energy levels and move accordingly. But when you start choosing yourself, it's easier to tell what's serving you and what isn't. I want to share something interesting just about like running into people and how cool it can be when you're just like flowing. Just last summer, I was at Tech Week, and I was just on a balcony with a friend that I had met during Tech Week, and we decided to have a seat next to this guy who was sitting alone. He happened to be one of the co-founders of Tetris. And it was just really cool to just be able to connect with somebody that I never imagined in a million years I would connect with and hear their story. But I think that's an example of what happens when you start moving and trying to better yourself and grow. You're going to run into people who are doing really cool things, and that influence you in a positive way. And so that's just the power of moving and being in alignment and just flowing and not feeling like you have to force everything. The right things will cross your path. The right opportunities, doors are going to open, so long as you're in alignment and you're moving. Don't settle for anything that doesn't feel like it's aligned with who you are and who you want to become. Lowering your vibration, take note of that. As you grow, you'll start to notice a lot of shedding. I mean, this was a big year also of shedding, right? We're about to enter the new year of the horse. But once you start growing so much in yourself, you're really going to know, like, if anyone disturbs your peace or if something disturbs your peace, things fall out of place, and you're really going to know, like, you have to let it go. It's a sign from God. At least that's how I take it. It's a sign from God. And I don't think it's a bad thing to let people go in a peaceful way, but know that you've worked so hard that you don't have to suffer, you know what I mean, because you feel bad letting people go or whatever it is. There's certain people who aren't going to be able to go with you to where it is that you're getting. And so I think that's just important to keep in mind. Like, you deserve to be around good energy. I mean, 1 ounce of bad energy can really disrupt certain things in your life. Like, it can disrupt you achieving your goal. When I think back to when I was younger, even, and when I was in college, and I was in a really unhealthy relationship where I definitely lacked self-love. I wasn't choosing myself, but my mind was also just like all over the place. Like, I thought this person could do something for me that I couldn't do for myself. And so I was almost like addicted to like wanting 1 ounce of this person's love and attention. But even when that ended, my mind was still a little bit cloudy. And so when I was working on certain goals and ideas, I feel like I wasn't able to execute to my fullest potential. And I doubted myself still. I still had a little self-doubt, and I still cared about how I was being perceived. And that's because I still had a little bit of that like energy from a person who really wasn't supporting me. So pay attention to that in life, because it's so important. Like, the people that you have around you can really help you elevate and feel good and live a positive life. Like, a positive life with great people around you is like a wealthy life to me. And if you don't have that, it's really difficult. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to times where you've had people around you that didn't support you and how horrible you feel. I look back and it makes me sad to think that I was once in that situation, spent so much time on people who really didn't care, and I take full responsibility for engaging in certain things. The lesson there is to learn from it. I think that there's reasons for everyone in our life that we meet, like a lot of things we need to learn, but to know when to let go is also an art. That's important because you need to gain the lesson and then keep it moving and apply it to your life as you go. And I think all those lessons shape your character, shape how you view the world, shape what you can do and what you can't do. Even when it comes to failures, like things that don't work out, there's still lessons that you've learned. There's knowledge and wisdom that you've gained. And that's also priceless. But it's about knowing when to let go and to stop dwelling on things and to, keep moving forward in a way that's going to better you and in turn better those around you. So if you're still here at the end of this video, I am going to be doing weekly reflections like this here. So if you have enjoyed this, I hope that you will stick around for the next one.